some lovely fresh asparagus. Those are North Cornwall. Those were just picked yesterday morning, up to us this morning. We're using some a lovely herb shallot vinegar dressing to go with it. In actual fact, I'm going to probably use a lemon with that one. So I'm going to do a nice lemony, fresh flavour for summer with a little bit of cherry tomato inside it, and then I'm going to do a nice strawberry full. Strawberries are in season at the moment. Why not use them? You know, they're available in your local markets. Great to use at this time of the year. And we're going to be using a rapeseed oil. I'm going to cook a fish in the rapeseed oil. The rapeseed oil is from Ballinloxton in Kingsbridge, so it's local produce as much as possible. That is from Plymouth. So Corden and Plymouth came into Plymouth yesterday. Unfortunately, I don't have the Torquay right next to me, so I have to use Plymouth. But available also from Torquay, Brixham, and those areas.
Right.
Great. Excellent.
Okay. Also, I think it's worth mentioning that I think it's restaurant. What did you get for the restaurant this year?
We got best restaurant Southwest from the Taste of the West, which is a fantastic accolade to achieve. Especially when we were not after it. And it was all about local produce, so we're using local produce as much as possible. So teaching a little bit of stuff that we would do in the restaurant, but something that you can recreate at home. And I think this is really important, that something that we come along and just give little ideas, just to...
well, it's to make it easy at the end of the day.
Make it easier, really.
You guys don't want to sit there and go, right, I've spent 2 hours watching this. I'm not going to bother going to the supermarket to get it. Or I'm going to buy the book. I'll just go and get a takeaway.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, that's not the point. The point is it's stuff that you can do quite easily. The ingredients are easily available. You're not going to have to sell a kidney or varying parts of your anatomy to go and buy it, because that's the worst thing. You know, at the end of the day, it's all great having these wonderful produce here that costs an absolute arm and a leg. You know, it's better to we're trying to show things that you can get anywhere, really. I mean, It's like the fish. You know, I mean, anyone use Fish for All up at Belgrave Road there? Fantastic fishmonger. I went up there this morning and bought the cod this morning that I'm going to use. Tremendous product. You know, and those sort of local suppliers is what we're trying to promote, and to say it doesn't cost a fortune to have great food, especially if you buy in seasons. So, you know, I'm talking long enough.
Yes.
Nobody wants to hear me talk.
No,
I want to see you,
absolutely.
Deb.
And so,
Let's see, they're all
let's
saying
go
get
for
off.
it. So,
on you go, Bruce.
I've got a couple of great ideas, and one of them is I'm going to chop up and make the salsa quickly, and this is really easy kind of sauce to make, and a nice and refreshing to make for a fish dish. And so normally we wouldn't throw those away; they would go straight into a nice stock and whatnot. But just a little bit of shallot, married up with a little bit of hot oil. Now I'm going to heat some oil up. Hopefully I got the right one.
Right, last year we had such a gust. We had a force 8 gale blowing through here last year, so the gas was keep going out. It was like, you know.
Last year was like it was yesterday, wasn't it?
I know, it's lovely.
Great. So just heat your oil up. I try to make my oil around about 60 to 80 degrees. Why is that? It just infuses nicely, much nicer at a warm temperature. So a fair bit of oil inside there, as you can see. Probably around about 150 mil. All right. Chop up a nice shallot, and then what we're going to do with this is just infuse that, and then chop up some herbs and infuse the herbs into the oil as well. This way the oil takes on the flavour of what you've got. So it's a long walk across there. I'm joking.
That's right. It keeps us fit.
It keeps us fit.
And I need that all the help I can get going. That's why they put it over there.
So I mean, the thing is that I could have come along and I could have done a massively fine dining dish and showcase some of the stuff that I do at the restaurant, and you'd never been able to do it again, and you would have gone, oh wow, that looks lovely. And but I think for what I'm doing, it's just something that you can recreate at home, very easy, very simplistic, and very refreshing for the summer. While I'm here as well, I'll be glad to answer any questions as far as anything is concerned, as far as fish, preparation of vegetables, preparation of mushrooms, any kind of knowledge that you want to find out. I'll try and work on my resources, which is years and years of experience, and I can answer those questions for you. So if anyone's got any questions, please don't hesitate. Raise your hand, come up and have a chat. All right. So a little bit of shallot inside the oil, we don't want it to brown it or anything like that. We just want to top it up and make it nice and flavoursome. The herbs are going to go in. I'm going to cool the oil down a little bit when I put the herbs in, and that way they will come out nice. All right. So one of the important things that we really look at is making sure that we've got the best local produce as possible. And being down in Devon, we've got the most amazing produce. I'm sure you'll agree on that. I mean, there's so much that one can go to and get your hands onto down here. It's really important for us to support those local producers and keep the economy local as well. But any good fishmonger will be able to do some good fish for you. There's a fair few, yeah?
Yeah, there's only, I mean, that's the thing when I started cooking 25 years ago, fishmongers were everywhere. Now I think I don't know, 3 possibly. One in Babbacombe, I think. There's one in Belgrave Road, and obviously there's one in Paynton as well. It's really good. Yeah. Then you go into Brixham, but it's something that the supermarkets have come in and everyone was buying pre-packed fish and everything else. And unfortunately today, good food is expensive, fish is expensive, meat's expensive. But I think the thing is that we're sort of slowly coming out of that mentality that food is cheap. You get what you pay for. We can all buy a chicken for £3, but is it actually a chicken? And does it taste of fish? Because invariably it's been fed on fish meal. That's why it's so cheap. I'd rather buy a decent chicken, and it's the old adage when I was growing up, and I grew up in Plymouth. You buy a chicken and it would last 2-3 meals at least. It'd be bubble and squeak on Monday.
Absolutely.
It'd be chicken something else, and it's a bit like the turkey at Christmas. By about week 2, you've sorted every turkey recipe going. But I think that's what we've got to get back into the habit of doing. We're all very time poor. We're all sort of in a bit of a rush to do everything really sort of quickly, rather than actually sort of planning for 3 or 4 days. And one of the things again that we've got out of the habit of is with the supermarkets, we go and bulk shop. Whereas again, when I was growing up, everyone went out every day or twice a week, 3 times a week to buy the shopping. It's easy to do it online and get it delivered every day, or and have a massive and the worst thing is that we're all as bad as each other. We go into the supermarket, oh, that looks good. It wasn't on the list. The next thing, your basket's overflowing with all the things it shouldn't be, and this is where that food waste thing comes from. It's a bit of a preachy thing, but I think it's getting back into, the more we can buy daily, the better, really. That's what we try and do in the restaurants.
There's loads of markets available around Saturday markets. I mean, I'm sure you don't go out in the middle of the week going out and buying fresh food and stuff like that. You go and spend your money on the weekend getting from markets. And it's really important to make sure that you support these markets. These guys are spending hours and hours putting effort into it, and it's a great place to get good nutritional food. Now, most of the stuff that you get that are bulk grown from Spain and places like that, are not that very, very nutritional. They've lost their nutrition. They've been picked last week, stored, and then driven all the way over here. And by the time they get here, there's nothing going for it. Yes, sometimes you have to do it. We understand that. Right. So a little bit of herbs into there. I've put a little bit of fennel in there. And I'm going to take it off the heat now, because I think it's got up to the heat that it needs to get to. I'm going to dice some strawberries. Strawberries.
Oh, there you go. Anyone spot the deliberate mistake on that one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was on the radio the other day, and I called my pastry chef a puff pastry chef. We were talking about puff pastry. Really funny.
I'm not going to say, because in kitchens invariably there are other things that they get called, but we're not going to go into that today.
Yeah. Anyway, I would just showcasing a couple of these little bits and pieces here today. So infusing a little bit of tomato in there. Now, one of the things I really like to do is to put some good seasoning in. Maldon sea salt, Cornish sea salt, lovely to use. Not very high as far as bad for you in sodium, is it?
It's sodium, but the killer is, I think the thing is food needs seasoning. Sorry, it needs to taste of something. The killer is not when you add salt there, it's when you add salt on the table. Who adds salt at the table? Anyone going to own up to adding salt before they try it?
We've got one lady down there.
There's got to be somebody who does it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's the one. That's the biggest problem, is because you're adding direct salt into your system. Whereas when it's in food, and particularly like in water, when you're boiling potatoes or whatever, that all gets dissipated, so you're not taking too much in. So when you add it at the table's the killer. And we all love a bit of salt. Don't get me wrong. I'm a bit of a thing for a bit of celery and a bit of salt. Not good. Don't tell the doctor that. You know, that's enough to
I love
give
my
him a
salt
heart
as
attack
well.
on the spot. But you know, things. You know, you can imagine mashed potato without salt in it.
Horrible.
Like,
Absolutely dreadful.
You know.
So one of the things that we try to move on is keep the sodium low, and use sea salt because it's a lot nicer flavour, and it's a lot better for you. As Richard said, direct application into the food rather than on top, much better for you as well. So this is just gently simmered. I think
I'm going over here out the way.
yeah.
So I'm not checking up on you, chef. Honestly, I'm just sort of
One of
quietly
the
watching what
reasons
you're
why
doing.
I'm doing this first is because I needed to infuse, and I wanted to infuse for at least 10-15 minutes before I start to use it, and 20 minutes. I make this at the restaurant. We do this a day in advance, just so it gets a lot more flavour through it. All right, and preparation is always great. You know, you can do so much more if you prepared in advance. Now, one of the things that I've done today is I prepared my risotto ahead of time. We take it to al dente, we bring it up to a boil, simmer it for around about 10 minutes, and then reduce it down and heat very, very rapidly. The reason for that is we've got it to the al dente stage, nice and crispy, but it's just on the brink of cooked, and you can see when I do it today, it'll be nice and fresh and perfect, absolutely spot on. So we just mix that in a little bit. If anyone wants to come up and have a look at that, they're more than welcome to. So
Hopefully
the next
you can
thing,
see it in the mirror, can you? Can you guys see it in the mirror? Good.
you can see it in the mirror.
Oh, we got technology this year.
Hey,
Yeah.
so
Fun and games last year. We nearly dropped them twice last year, putting them up. How much bad luck is that going to be? I tell you.
yeah, absolutely. Have we got a fish board around? I know I've worked with fish. One of the things I didn't see this morning was a fish board. Have we got a fish board?
We did have.
All right, we'll swap that around.
You might have to turn one over. Don't worry, the EHO is over there. It's all right.
All right. So what we're going to do is we're just going to get the fish prepared up and ready. Now, one of the things that I like to do, I've pre-vac packed this morning. I got the whole fish in because I didn't think that I had enough time to do it, but it looks like I do have a fair bit of time. What time have I got until?
Week next Thursday, by the looks of it. Yeah, no, you're fine. No, about 12:30. Well, that's right. Because I'm on next, so you can take as long as you like.
12:30.
Yeah. So what are you going to do for the next 45 minutes?
Right.
Now, Bruce and I have done some ready, steady cooks before in the past, and we've had some fun and games with that. Where how many dishes can we do in 20 minutes?
So I can prepare at least 3 dishes with this. So basically trimming it down. Now, good quality sharp knife. Not that one, this one. It's fantastic to use, and it just gives you a really good sharp tear off at the end. All right. You can do a fish and chip portion. All right. Leave the skin on if you like the skin on. If not, turn it over and just de-skin it.
Now, when you're de-skinning fish, you're not actually cutting anything. You're letting the knife do all the work.
Yeah.
So what you're doing is you're going in and pulling the skin, and it pulls away from the flesh. So you're not cutting it. The knife is just easing the skin away from the flesh. It's very, very. Again, fishmonger will do it for you.
Yep. But if you're fortunate enough to have a very good sharp knife, you can achieve that.
Yeah.
All right.
And
Also, those are great deep fried. A little bit of flour on that. Deep fry, and you've got a lovely garnish. Perfect garnish to go on your fish as well. So I'm going to keep that as well on the side. Beautiful piece of fish there. Now what I'm doing is I'm doing a nice cod loin. So we've taken the belly piece off. Everyone see that? Just taking the belly piece off, nice and easy. I'm going to leave the skin on, all right? Keep it nicely trimmed up.
Now, again, in the restaurants, you see Bruce trimming all this fish up. None of that trim would go to waste. It would be going into stocks. You'd be making fish cakes with it. You'd be making
Fish pies.
fish fingers, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it is, it all gets used. And I think that's the thing. That's why you mustn't be afraid to buy a whole fish, get the fishmonger to fill it all for you, give it all the bones, everything to you, because there's so much you can do with it. You know, a lovely fish soup or whatever, all the trim, we make homemade fish fingers for the kids, so much better than old Captain Birdseye, you know, Alaskan caught pollock from 4,000 miles away, you know, in a dodgy breadcrumb. And it's so much healthier because you know exactly what's in it, you know.
One of the things that I like to do when I'm at home is my son loves fish fingers, and I get a lot of these offcuts, and I mince them up and then create a little, almost like a force meat where we bind them together, and I just put them into a mold and just hold them for about 2 hours, pop them out, and then just put them through the fridge, maybe even gently freeze them and just pop them out and breadcrumb them. Fantastic, absolutely loves them. You know, you can't get enough of them. You know, he loves his fish. Only 4.5 years old, and believe you me, he's an absolute little gem with food. And none of this going off to McDonald's. McDonald's for him is he drives past and, Daddy, can I have a fruit salad from McDonald's? Oh yeah, sure, no problem. And whenever we go into McDonald's, it's a fruit salad or a little salad or something like that. But we try not to. We you know, it's only ever we've caught out and we go in there. But fresh food, fresh food, fresh food. So we've got a piece of fish ready to go. I'm going to just put it onto a plate over here. Anyone wants to have a look at the way I've done that. I've also sliced into the back of it. I don't know if you've seen that. All right, that helps with the cooking of it. So when I get down to cooking it, it'll be absolutely spot on. Right, so the next thing I'm going to do is get my risotto on. I'm going to use a little bit of olive oil, a little bit of water, just to bring it up to the generation again. And then I'm going to fry off my asparagus, prep that up for you quickly. I don't have a peeler. I forgot my peeler back at home, but that's not a problem. And make sure we've got enough risotto for everybody. To have a taster. So that's on the side there. Now I made that risotto last night in actual fact. I knew I was coming down here today, so I made sure I had enough prepared. So that's that one there. Note I use a little bit of water just to loosen it up again. If you can have a look at that, is that in there? So it's quite a loose risotto. Now I like mine fairly loose. It presents much better. It's a much nicer eating scenario. One of the things that I do is I'll use a stock. Now, generally I'll make up a stock, but I've just found this new product out in the market, and it's really good. It's called a mushroom stock, and just a couple of spoonfuls of that, just to enhance the risotto. Is just a nice thing to do. It is made locally in England, this mushroom stock, so it is a local produce, well, English produce. Sometimes we have to, it's like everything else, we have to go further afield to get the best that we can get our hands onto. Recently I've had to use Sussex asparagus. Now the Sussex asparagus is really nice. It has been very good, but locally we've got Oakhampton has been growing some amazing asparagus, and been using that. This one is from North Cornwall, just come through, fantastic stuff as well. Now I just trim mine off at the top end, take the wooded part off, and it just scrapes off very nice and easily. Whoops. Right, so just like that. Keep those pieces. They're great for soup. And I'm going to just try. I'm going to try and get a soup on for you today as well. Have we got a blender as well here today?
I think, have we got a blender?
If not, then not a problem. But we can bash out a soup as well. So I'm going to get this all on the go shortly. In the box there. In the box at the end. Not that one, the other one. The one to the left of that.
Nope.
No. We blenderless. All right. No, that's fine. Anything about asparagus, if you eat lots of it, it makes your urine smell very, very much.
Well, there you go. There's a fact you needed to know on a
Yeah.
bright
But
Friday morning or Saturday morning. Yes.
the reason for that, it's a great. It takes away impurities in the body.
I think it's an antioxidant. As well,
Antioxidant. That's it. That's the one I was looking for. Anyway,
so you've scared off half the public now. They're all leaving.
all leaving.
See, they're gone.
Please don't go. Right. I'm just going to gently fry those up.
Now, I mean, it's like when I do asparagus, and it's the same sort of thing, is that you don't need to boil asparagus in lots of water. It's what they call a leguminous vegetable. There we go. It's got probably 85% water in it.
Yeah.
So you can actually put it in a pan, and the water inside the actual asparagus will cook it. Because you get the heat, it boils inside and it cooks it. And it's actually a really better way of doing it, rather than putting in a big pan of boiling water, and the next minute all your lovely nutrients are all gone in the water. So I'm sure Bruce will do exactly the same. You just roast it off, it cooks inside, and the next minute, within about 2-3 minutes, your asparagus is cooked.
You got a beautiful asparagus.
And it's much better flavour.
I just use a little knob of butter in that as
well, it's got to be a bit of that. We are in the West Country. I mean, butter, cream,
My blender, chef.
Oi. Right, so let's get a soup on as well.
Saucepan?
There's one there. So, where's the shallot? Maybe a little. Right. A little bit of shallot to start off with. Once again, we'll get the heat on this one going, and we'll make a little soup quickly as well. And then a little accompaniment to go with the fish as a starter. Oops.
That's all right.
There goes a stick blender. Right, has anyone got any questions that they'd like to ask while I'm up here? Anything? Yes, madam. I think it's a far nicer flavour. Shallot has got a sweeter flavour to it within the onion. I don't know how you feel about it. I just think it's a lot better flavour to it.
Yeah, I mean, shallots tend to have a much more concentrated flavour in them. These what we call banana shallots, are a little bit milder than the baby ones you get. The small ones are much more intense. But if you're only doing a couple of portions or something, or 3 or 4 portions, you get a great big onion, which is double the size or bigger than that. You're wasting half of it because you don't need it. You can get one of these, that'll do plenty. That's another reason I tend to use them, is you don't have to use a big onion, And there's so many different varieties. I mean, you can get the red ones, you can get the small ones, you get the banana ones. They all have their own different subtleties. They're all a little bit either stronger or weaker. The banana ones are slightly the weakest. The smallest ones have a really intense flavour. And also, they're quite good value. I picked up a pack today from a fruit and veg guy. For nearly £1, it was, I think, about 90 pence. And they'll last. You keep them nice and dry in the cupboard. They'll last for 2 or 3 weeks, 4 weeks. But you don't feel you're wasting anything then. And that's one of the reasons I use them.
I think I've got a far better
Man in the
flavour.
check trousers at the front.
Well,
No,
actually,
Bruce makes me cry every time I'm peeling onions, I tell you. No, I mean, yeah.
I'm going to give you a very, very valid tip on this one. If you're cutting onions, the reason why you cry is because your knife is not sharp. It's dispersing the spray out. All right, the sharper your knife, you'll get no crying. There we go. There's something new you would have learned, and as you can see, just effortlessly, just cutting through it, no problems whatsoever.
And you're only as sharp as your knife. I mean, it's one of the things in chefing terms, we can't deal without a sharp knife. At home, and invariably, most people's knives are blunt because they don't get them ground. They just buy a knife, and invariably it sits, gets used and used and used and used, and it gets harder and harder and harder. You more likely cut yourself, you crush things. Probably every year at home, take them to the butcher or somebody like that, or there are grinders out there, and get the edge put back on them, because a knife edge should be at 45 degrees, which should be like that. What happens over time, it gets flatter. On a steel, you'll never sharpen it again. all you're doing is you're just taking metal off. You need to get it reground back to that level, and then it will be sharp again. I have mine done every 6 months or so. You can steam it, but the same theory applies. Is that if you imagine the steam, you've got the holes in the steamer, so the steam comes up through, cooks the asparagus, and all the juice from the asparagus leaks back out into the water. That's why your water will turn green. With this in the pan, everything's still there. You're not losing any. All you're doing is evaporating the excess water, which is the steam. So you're not losing any flavours or any nutrients. This will go back to the old time, but I remember that my grandmother used to put bicarb in all the green veg.
And then cook it for a month.
Well, yeah, if you were lucky. There was no such thing as bullet sprouts in my house.
No.
Nowadays, it's the fact that the people understand a bit more about cooking. You don't need to put bicarb in things to keep them green. It's like in the restaurants when we're doing green vegetables and we want to use them later, we'll blanch them in boiling water for 30 seconds a minute, then refresh them in ice water, and that will keep their colour, keep their nutrients all in, if we're doing bulk vegetables. But if we're doing them to order like this, I'll do quite a lot of my things like courgettes, mange tout, sugar snaps, even runner beans. If you cut them fine enough, you can do them in a pan exactly the same way. As long as you de-string them. That was one of my childhood things, sitting there de-stringing all the runner beans. And I didn't have one of those slices in there, they got those little slices now, you put them all through. It was a knife job, and I had to slice them with a knife, And I think the thing is with the cooking as well, is don't be afraid to experiment on those type of things. It's not about reinventing the wheel. It's about, listening to what some of these guys say and just having a go at home. It might work for you, it might not, but at least you've had a go and you can see the difference. You'll definitely see the difference in flavour, that's for sure. And that's what it's all about, really.
Working with children? Right, so one of the things that we do is, both of us actually.
Yep.
We work with a company called Food is Fun, or an organisation called Food is Fun, and we go into schools and teach kids all about food. So introduce them to new things, like we introduce them to fish, we introduce them to different types of meat, we do a little bit of cooking with them, we have a little bit of fun with them, so it's a great time. And it's...
it's safe. Cooking's a life skill.
Yeah.
It's about... If we can, I think something has happened with the kids now, and you can see it coming back into the school's curriculum, is they're teaching them how to cook now. Again, when I was at school, it all disappeared. I think in 2 years, I did 2 practical lessons. It was all about learning the theory of it rather than actually how to do it. So when you went out into the world and saw, right, I'm at college or at university or I'm on my own, oh, well, there's a tin of beans and a piece of toast. I'm all right. Whereas now, we were sort of trying to say, well, you can go into a shop, buy some things that are good value and fresh, cook something in 10 minutes for yourself or your friends, and it's a life skill you've got for life then. And about, obviously the healthy options as well. Obviously low salt, low sugar, low flavour, low fat, low flavour.
Low flavour,
yeah,
low flavour, low flavour.
But it's quite good because, we've done a lot of stuff together, and we do little ready steady cooks with the kids. We do the schools programs. It's a good way of the chefs giving something back a little bit as well.
We've found that there's been almost a generation and a half of people that have lost the skill of cooking, and reintroducing it back with traditional cooking skills is a great way of I think it's a great way of life, really. We love cooking at home. It's a family ordeal. There's nothing better than getting the whole family together and doing a Sunday afternoon tea or a cream tea for the whole family, and we just love it. It's just such a social
well,
thing.
here's a good little test. How many people now in this room all have the family together on a Sunday for a Sunday roast or Sunday meal together? Only sometimes. Now, in the old days, and I'm not talking that long ago, 20 years ago, everybody did it.
Yeah.
All the family got together on a Sunday, sat down on a Sunday roast. Amount of times I used to want to go out and play football or cricket, and I was like, no, you're going to sit there and eat your steamed syrup pudding again. Mum, I've just had roast beef. Oh, God. And that's where the family used to be. We used to be together. We used to catch up. There was one joint bought a week, which was, it was an expensive joint, whether it be pork, beef, lamb, whatever.
And then lasted
2 or 3 meals. Yeah, but we all caught up. And it's something that's lost. And there was a great example of how it is lost. And we've got to ask ourselves the questions why it's lost. Is it technology? You know, the kids have all got iPads, iPhones, Game Boys, you know, all this sort of stuff. Have we got too much of that now?
Oh, that's not milk. I just put a little bit of cream in there. Now, have a look at that. Now, that is my soup. I'm going to blend it up. I'm going to bring it up to a little bit of a boil, and I'll blend it up shortly. And that's lovely. That will just make a fantastic little starter just to our fish for the day. And it's beautiful, really beautiful, fresh, you know.
Well, that's what we say. It's using the trimmings of whatever you've got. You know, it's like the carrots and all that sort of stuff. Onion trimmings, things like you can make a vegetable soup really quickly out of all the stuff you've got. I mean, it's like broccoli, you know, cauliflower stems, stuff like that. I mean, cauliflower stems, you know, you can take those out, blanch them off, make a cauliflower soup out of them. They've got just as much flavour as the head. You know, a lot of broccoli used in stir fries, the actual stem, fantastic. You know, I think we're all a bit scared of doing it because we see it and go, "Oh, it's the stem. Oh, no, we don't use that. No." You know. Although saying the things, it's like the turnip tops and the Brussels sprout tops, and you know,
Right.
one of the things in ultra fine dining restaurants which really winds me up. And I've been, you know, as I say, I've cooked in a lot of high end restaurants, so has Bruce and everything else. But it's the fact of the more you pay, the less you get, and invariably it's some ingredient that only costs about 20p, but you're paying 40 quid for it. You know, and that's something that I don't quite believe in. You know, at the end of the day, if you're going to be charged the king's ransom, at least you want to see the ingredients on the plate. You know, carved sweetbreads. You know, great. You know, we'll all go out and eat those every week, won't we? You know, or kidneys or whatever. I mean, kidneys for me for breakfast. You know, it's one of those things.
One of the reasons that we got the award is that we're not charging a fortune, and we're putting good, honest ingredients, and we're putting a decent sized plate ahead of you. You know, you feel like you've come and had a meal. And I've done the fine dining, the little stuff and whatnot, and it's just not, for me, it's just not worth it. You know, I really want our guests to enjoy a meal, have something that's really wholesome, and walk away from the restaurant and saying, I could not eat for the next week. And that's how I feel, you know, and that's what I think it should be.
Well, it's one of the things that I find at the moment, you know, moment any chef picks up a pair of tweezers, I lose interest altogether.
Sorry, I've just got to get rid of my tweezers.
Yeah.
I'm joking.
Yeah. I'm not going to say what you use them for. But, you know, it's just like, you know, and I mean, there's places for it and everything else, and there's a lot. I mean, obviously, you know, Simon's on, and one of his things is he does a lot of foraging, but it is the new in-word, forage, everything. Right, okay, well, I haven't got time for that. I don't know about you, chef, to go out and sit there and spend 3 weeks foraging every day.
Well, I don't forage every day, but I forage once or twice a week.
Exactly.
And you know, I love going out and just seeing what's available. You know.
Yeah. Somebody's allotment. Yeah, that's what they call foraging.
Not allotment.
If your greenhouse has things missing, just ring the Moorland Garden because he's been foraging. Now we've all got profitability.
That's the extent of my foraging. Yeah. Shh, I'm supposed to give away my secrets.
We'll keep that trade secret. Don't say it.
No, I do. I thoroughly enjoy a forage every now and then, and it's really good fun. It gets you out in the open. You see what's around you. You can pick up wild garlic. There's some lovely elderflowers coming out shortly. They should be out in bloom now. So that's really a nice thing to have is fresh elderflowers. Elderflower cordial, elderflower wine, elderflower this, elderflower that. There's so much you can do. You can make ice creams, sauces, cordials. Lovely.
I think it's like, you know, blackberry picking in the autumn. I used to do that as a kid, you know, going, you know. I mean, it's like the pick your own farms. Anyone go to pick your owns anymore?
No.
One or two, you see. I mean, that was a tradition in the summer. You know, go to the strawberry, you know, one for the pot, one for me, one for the pot, one for me. And your mum would go, do you eat the strawberries covered in strawberry? No, didn't eat any. No. I'd eaten about 3 pounds. Didn't want to eat strawberry for a week. But, you know, it's like damsons in the hedgerows and sloes and things like that. Blackberries.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, rose hips. I mean, rose hip wine. Whew. People used to make that. You see this bottle of something in the cupboard that somebody had made that thought it was rather tasty, that no one had ever touched, but looks at it all the time, you know. But those are the sort of things that we can all do, and they're great family activities to go and do, you know. I mean, I used to love it. I mean, it's all good fun.
Right, so I'm knocking up a little bit of strawberry fool now, while I'm just cooking this all away. Do you fancy doing some work? No, I didn't think so.
No, I'm quite happy here.
You've got to do this after me, haven't you?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Right, as long as he normally uses all my ingredients first. That's why it was written on the fridge, Richards. As I come in and half my ingredients are missing before I start.
Well, I've nicked your butter.
Oh, well, what a surprise that is.
There we go. Right, so those mushrooms are just about lovely done. All right, have a look at those. All right, those are beautiful. And hopefully they complement this dish. I've only done this once or twice. I'm joking, I haven't. Do it on a regular basis.
That's one of the other things as well, and Bruce and I believe it, is hot food.
Yep.
Oh, there's this fad at the moment for all this food to be lukewarm on a plate. What is all that about, eh? I watched it was a program on, I think it was MasterChef about a year or 18 months ago, and they went to one of these restaurants in London and they were cooking turbot to 43 degrees centigrade. And you're like, cool. Really? Okay. Well, blood temperature's 37.
37 degrees, yeah.
You know, it's like, well, it gets there, and by the time it's got on the plate, got to your table, you know, it's like chilled. It's just really, it's daft. I don't understand the concept of it. You know, perhaps people call it old-fashioned. Perhaps that's the thing. Perhaps I'm old-fashioned chef. You know, I like food hot, cooked.
Are you trying to say I'm old?
Well, not the age, it's the mileage.
That's it. I'm an 18-year-old with 43 years of experience. I'm not.
Well, that makes you 61 then.
Yeah.
He's looking rather good for 61, I tell you. Yeah, you can't say anything to that, can you? No, it's all right.
I'm trying to get out of this.
Right, you can have abuse later.
Yeah, I'll get abuse later. Yeah. I saw someone with a T-shirt like that the other day, and I thought, no ways, I've got to get one of them. But I can't lie like that. I'm not 63 years old. I'm only 44 years old, I think. The last time I looked.
Sorry, you got a couple of years on me. It's okay.
Yeah. You've just had your 40th, haven't you?
Yes.
Last year.
41 at the end of the month.
Way. There we go.
1973. What a good year that was.
I was
Apparently.
I was a 1969 baby.
Yeah.
I just made the 60s, the swinging 60s.
Scary thing though, when I went to primary school, I was still doing 4 columns on the pound, shillings, pence, and all that sort of stuff. Whatever, 3 columns. It's all right.
It's all right, chef.
All right. You asked me to taste it.
Yeah.
God,
is there any mushroom in there? Enough? I think I might need a little bit more. Do you think? Not enough mushroom.
No, it's plenty.
Okay. So here's
no double dipping.
The soup. We're going to go for it now. It's not very long, that. But anyway.
I'm going to stand well back. Well, normally when this happens. Is it on? Oh yeah, it's on. It's all right. Front row, get free here. Yeah. It's all right. It's interactive cookery. Well, and there's a character for Sesame Street outside. There you are, Bruce. There's your newest.
Oh, hello. You all right?
What?
Yeah. I think that's why I couldn't get you. Everyone was trying to get to Brixham for the Pirate Festival.
Well, yeah. Well, no, it's the Mad Festival. You got the Mad as well. You got the Bike Festival.
I've got the Bike Festival as well.
So you got Bike Festival in Paynton, you got the Pirate Festival in Brixham, and you got us here. And the best way to go, ferry £2. What a bargain! Easier than going on the bus to Brixham. It's not rough out there today, thankfully. Yeah, on stage already.
Right, so fish in.
Hot pan, always hot pan.
Hot as you can get it.
You need the sizzle. Because if your pan isn't hot, what will happen is it'll just stew, and you'll get a stewed fish. You want to seal all those juices inside and get that lovely brown caramel on the outside. That's where the flavour comes from.
Oh, that is lush.
What is
that?
Well, you would say that. You've made it.
I have to say that.
I know.
But the proof's in the pudding if everyone likes it. Have we got any tasting cups or anything like that?
Oh, I'm sure the girls have got some at the back, yeah. They'll sort that
Have
out.
we got any tasting cups? Tasting cups. Just put that back down here again for a second. There we go. Oh, that's good. Yeah. Yep.
You made 75 portions, have you?
75. It's going to be tight. Oh, that's lovely. That really is good. It's probably one of my favourite soups as well.
Now, one of the biggest things, and you'll see this with my demo as well, but when you've got fish or something in a pan like that, don't play with it. No Ainsley Harriet shaking all the pan, giving it all the large ones, because what happens is you take all the heat out of the pan. And what will happen then, again, you'll boil it. Because the moment the heat drops, all the water comes out, or the moisture content, and that's why you'll see that water boil out of things if you shake the pan around too much when you're frying something. It should be a sizzle. If it's not sizzling, you've either shaken it or you've got rid of all the heat, and that's when you're going to stew something. So it's very, very important.
Right, so we're almost ready to do a presentation on all the stuff here. Now, should we do some of those? Do you want to? Are you going to? Yeah, that'd be great. Get those on the go.
Large portions, ladies and gentlemen.
You'll be lucky.
Who likes a good soup? There we go. Right, so basically what I've got today is I've got some local cream. It is from a Cornish company down in Cornwall. It's just because we find their cream has been really good. I do use Langage as well, which I find is very good. Unfortunately, I don't get a daily delivery from them. We've been trying to work on it, but every now and then when I can get a delivery from Langage, I get a Langage delivery. There's some really good local farms that you can buy cream from, but it's about the mileage, isn't it?
Well, here's a classic. Everyone here likes clotted cream, do they? Yeah. Right, what one do you buy? Hands up for Rodders. Hands up for Langage. Hands up for, I think it's Ashclist, is it? No? Trewithen?
I have to sometimes because they come in.
Oh,
every
you
day.
see.
Yeah.
Now, the difference is, why you should buy Langage, you know why you should buy Langage, do you know why?
Jersey cows.
Exactly. It's made with Jersey and Guernsey cows, which is a higher cream content, higher fat content, makes a better cream. It's not always as set as Rodders, because Rodders is made with Frisians. That's why it's a little bit, solid sometimes. But, yeah, Langage, and that's why it's a little bit more expensive. But you do get a richer flavour out of it.
You've also got the Devonshire.
My check's in the post, by the way.
The Devonshire farm.
Devonshire farm, yeah, made on Dartmoor.
Dartmoor, which is really good. So you've got two edges of Dartmoor there, Devonshire farm and Langage. There's some that comes from Salcombe as well. Are they doing some Salcombe?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so. I think
make
it's
ice cream.
Ice cream, yeah, that's right.
That's it. Yeah, my family, my family come from Cornwall and from Somerset, and I was born in Devon. So I'm thoroughbred, or as my chef friends call me, something else, but we won't go into that now. But the Somerset cream is a bit like butter. My mum always used to say from Cornwall it was like butter, whereas the Cornish cream is a little bit liquidy, and they always used to go for Devon cream. I mean, it's not, again, my Olympic figure is due to having 99s with a dollop of clotted cream on it.
Oh, absolutely. There's
there's
nothing
nothing
like
better than
having
that.
a clotted cream every day.
Well, we won't go into the scone debacle now. That was a highlight of going to the seaside. That was, proper ice cream, not this bright yellow material that's got no cream in it whatsoever. and a couple of flakes and a dollop of clotted on it. That's what you call a 99, that is.
Right, so my fish is just about done. I'm just going to rest it for about 2 minutes, and then I'm going to get this on the go for you. Right, so one of the other things I've done today is I've made this lovely strawberry compote, all right, with some marinated strawberries. Now what I'm going to do with the strawberry compote, I'm going to put it down the bottom of the glass. I believe a strawberry full should be full of flavour, all right, and as much flavour of the strawberries you can get in there. So basically I've taken some of the worser looking strawberries that came in the punnet, sugar into the pot, just bring them up to a boil, all right, and then just simmer them for about 10 minutes and they should be ready. And you get this almost jam-like stuff that goes onto the top, and it's really nice. Then whisk up your cream really nice and like ribbon thick. Right, so one of the things where I come from in South Africa is Cape Town, and as a boy I spent a lot of my time going out onto the sea and catching some local fish, and we used to catch kabeljou, Cape salmon, stuff like that. And the cod that we got here today is very, very similar to the kabeljou that we used to have, and a fantastic flavour, nice and meaty, gorgeous, fresh salads, kind of stuff like that. So one of the other things, we just add a little bit of this strawberry compote or marinated strawberries into it. Just fold it through. Just get a little bit more air into that. Take some of that. Just drizzle some of the juices over it so you get some nice compote into that. That's not going to work, is it?
No, that's gonna...
So let's do that. I would recommend no more than that for a portion. In actual fact, that's quite a large portion. For any, for children, probably about half of that. And then a nice strawberry to go on top of that. Wow. How did that soup go down? Everyone like that? Really tasty, isn't it? Right. Strawberry full. The reason why I whistle while I talk is because I got a falsie. I had my teeth kicked out while I was playing rugby one day. so excuse the whistle. Right, and there's some of that extra left over just to have a little bit of fun with that. So, last things is the presentation of this. So now, oh dear. Oops. What temperature was that? Right. Oh dear, it's a little bit overcooked. A little bit of water into that to rescue it. What do you reckon, Chef?
How many people like risotto? Yeah? How do you have your risotto? Is it... no, I'm not being lewd here. Is it stiff or is it runny? No, no, madam. You were there. You were the one, not me. I was being very straight. Sorry, yeah, that's you. No one else. I tell you, where are we coming from? No, because obviously the Italians like it very, very runny. It should fold onto a plate and should move on its own. More as we get into sort of this side of Europe, everyone likes it a bit sort of more solid, a bit more stiffer. Was this sharing platter for 4, Chef, is it?
Sharing platter for 4. This is the kind of thing that I would throw onto my table at home. Just have a great afternoon full of food and whatnot.
Again, ultra fine dining, sharing platter for 26.
Table of 26. Hand it down, please. Have one of each.
Yeah, got one slice of mushroom each. And be thankful.
Right, so fish on.
And again, the reason it's left to rest, and I mean, if anyone was here earlier with Simon, but when you're cooking any sort of meat or fish protein, it's a bit like your muscles on your leg or whatever. They get very tight when heat gets added to them. When they come off the heat and they're just left to sit for a second, the muscles relax. And that's where you see the juices come out of a joint of meat or a piece of fish, is because everything's relaxed. That makes what makes it much easier to eat. So that's why, you see chefs saying rest this, rest that. It's very, very important because it just... if you try and eat something that's just come out of a frying pan or out of an oven, it's going to be tough because the muscles are really, really tight. Even fish, because fish cooks at about 55 degrees centigrade, that's all. It doesn't cook at 300 degrees like everyone thinks it needs to.
Right. And that is my fish dish with lion's mane mushrooms and lovely fresh Cornish asparagus.
Thank you, Bruce. A round of applause for Bruce.
Any questions, please don't hesitate. When you come up, I'll answer whatever you need to know. The mushrooms I got from a company called Forest Fungi. They're in Dawlish. Really worth a trip up. You can get to Dawlish now. And they're about 1.5 miles away from the station. Great nice walk up through the high street into the Forest Fungi. And they do some amazing fresh mushrooms. They've got a lovely farm shop up there. So please go up and visit them as well. All right? And don't hesitate to come down and visit us this weekend. We're having a vintage fair on Monday, and we're having barbecue, hog roast, you name it. So it's going to be a great day. And it's hosted by Miss Ivy Events. So if anyone's into their vintage stuff, please don't hesitate to come down. Great. Excellent.
Thanks very much. Well, as I say, I'm sure there'll be some tasting going on. Any questions for Bruce, please, let us know. We're very happy to answer any. And then we're going to have a bit of a clear up. And I would reckon about 25... Oh, you're switching me off then. About 25 to, it'll be myself. So if you really want to be bored for half an hour, you can come and see me do something. I'm going to do a couple of dishes for you. Some pudding and things as well. So, but again, thanks, Bruce. And thanks all for watching. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much for having me, guys.